You know, I'm kind of at a loss, but I'm not. All I have to say is it was nice while it lasted. At least that's what I could say. We'll always have this, and we'll have this too. I wasn't expecting it to end so quickly. On the flip side, though, I wasn't expecting this to be easy because a lot of people sold Seattle short. But oh boy, so many factors played a role in this. For one, the officiating. They really screwed us a lot in this thing. They did. It was just nothing new. I mean, they tried to do it last year and it didn't work, but still. I mean, but as biased as the officiating was, I mean, let's face it, they had Kraken logos tattooed on all over their bodies. I think one probably had a big S on his back. But as biased as they were for Seattle, we didn't rise above it. I think we let a lot of things just get to us, which we didn't do last year. We let the biased officiating get to us. I mean, you saw Nathan McKinnon; he was upset, rightfully so, but still, we let the biased officiating get to us. We didn't put a lot of pressure on Grubauer. We didn't capitalize on a lot of things. And in the case of Game 7, we had the momentum, we had the shots, but once Seattle got one lucky one in and a breakaway one goal and another, I think I don't know. But yeah, and the crazy thing is, we had people out, and we still came this close to possibly continuing a second run and maybe going on to repeat. Because I think if we beat Seattle, we would have beaten Dallas, and we would have beaten whoever comes out of Pacific. And I'd be having about 4 more of these. It would say 2023 on them. But but that's hockey. It's just not meant to be. It's just not meant to be. But we know, like I said, this whole thing, it's part biased officiating, part not capitalizing. And all it does is result in a first round exit, which bears some parallels and some similarities to 2 moments in the Avalanche's history. For one, we lost to pretty much an expansion team in their first postseason. Again, this happened 20 years ago. Of course, we all remember 2003. Minnesota was in the playoffs for the first time ever. It was their 3rd season of existence. We took a 3-1 series lead and just lost in 7 at a home Game 7, which would be Patrick Waugh's final game of his career. And of course, this Game 7 loss at home comes on the anniversary of another Game 7 loss. It was 9 years ago today that Minnesota got us again in Game 7, also on our ice. And it was in overtime. Nino Niederreiter. I really hope this wasn't a case of us taking Seattle lightly. I don't think we're that crazy to do that. I don't think we take any teams lightly. But boy, did we should have won this. Like I said, a mix of biased officiating and the Avs just not capitalizing. And Grubauer, oh boy, when they showed Grubauer, I'm surprised he wasn't grinning ear to ear. He got his payback. That was the ultimate payback for him. Because he's still scorned. Because he feels he got scapegoated for 2 years ago. I think he feels he got scapegoated for the collapse against Vegas, right? And then we decide to move on from him. We get Kemper, and this happens. So Grubauer in his head goes into Dolph Ziggler mode. That should have been me. And every time he sees the Avs, he just gets that he becomes like a scorned ex. And it's crazy. 3 of their wins were on our ice. It's just heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking, but there's one silver lining in all this. At least we're not the Bruins. Boy, did the Boston Bruins fuck this up. I said all along this team was frauds. People need to listen to me. There's a reason. I said it before. There was a reason why nobody, even after the field was complete, there was a reason why nobody picked Boston to win. This team was not for real. I mean, look who the fuck they lost to. They lost to the Florida, by God, Panthers. They blew a 3-1 series lead to a glorified AHL team. The Panthers or Matthew Tkachuk carrying a bunch of flotsam and jetsam on his back. Okay? That team is awful. They are absolutely awful. This was worse, in my view, this was worse than when Tampa choked 4 years ago. Because I think that Blue Jackets team was better than this year's Panthers team. By far. By far. 65 wins, 135 points, and they fucked it up in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. That's all it took. I mean, they completely blew it. A real team would have swept this team. The Panthers are a dead team. A real team would have swept them out of the water. The Boston Bruins are not a real team. Not even close. I said for months, for about a couple of years, this team has too many flaws. I said this team wasn't deep. They sure as fuck proved it this year. Don't give me that 65 wins and 135 points nonsense. What did it get them? What did it get them? And I was generous. I said second round exit because I figured, well, Toronto's going to beat them out. Toronto didn't get the chance. They're too busy laughing at the Bruins. Isn't that something? Toronto moved on, and it was Boston that blew a 3-1 lead. And I hear the delusional lies they tell. Well, the Panthers are good. No, they're not. The Manitoba Moose would blow out the Panthers. The South Carolina Stingrays would beat the shit out of the Panthers. This Panthers team is not good at all. Not good at all. Yet Boston not only needed a 7th game against them, they managed to fuck that up too. At least we lost to an actual NHL franchise. Seattle is much better than Florida. Florida is awful. And people, it shows how much people play favorites. When Toronto blew 3-1 against Montreal, people couldn't wait to laugh at it. Well, how could you choke against such a terrible team? That's what Boston did, but the delusional excuses come in. Well, Boston, what did it say? Florida was talented enough. They wanted it more. No, they didn't. They sucked. And I said after Game 6, and I know the playoffs has nothing to do with this, but I said after Game 6, Linus Omar proved why Alexander Georgiev deserves a Vezina. You think Georgiev would give up 6 goals to a team like Florida? Absolutely not. I've seen him shut down the Rangers, an actual team. The Bruins are pathetic. They really are. They're gonna have one hell of an off season. Omar fucked up. They choked against a glorified AHL team, and they may have ruined what could possibly be Patrice Bergeron's last year in the league. I knew I was going to be laughing at somebody after round 1. I didn't think it would be Boston. I'm dead serious. I didn't think it would be Boston. I don't hate the Bruins. I just don't like how people put. I just don't like the pedestal that they were on, and it wasn't really earned. They say Linus Omar's going to win the Vezina. Even when Georgiev's better? Yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. I've seen Omar fuck up in games that Georgiev will get shutouts in. He gave up 20 total goals to a team with one player on it in the playoffs. That's not a Vezina goalie. Not even close. Omar left his talent in Buffalo. But yeah, so this was definitely a day to remember. But I will say I did think Boston was going to win, but oh my god, this is definitely a day to remember. Boston and Colorado both gone at home too. Seattle makes history. They were the first expansion team to ever win their first ever beat the champs in their first ever playoff series. This is their first ever playoff series, and they dethroned us. So now they play Dallas in the Central Series, the Central Final. It's Toronto and Florida in the Atlantic Final, and Toronto has home ice. How about that? And of course, the Pacific's was made yesterday. It's going to be Vegas and Edmonton. One game remains in round 1. Rangers Devils Game 7. That will end the first round, and the winner will face the Carolina Hurricanes in what should be an interesting Metropolitan Series. I think I read round 2 starts, I think, tomorrow? Yeah, it does. Round 2 starts tomorrow. Not tomorrow. I said tomorrow. Starts Tuesday. My bad. The Atlantic and Central Series, just like before. The Atlantic and Central Series will be airing back to back on ESPN, which means TNT will have the Pacific and the Metro Series. Toronto. The second round will start in Toronto. Doesn't that sound nice to say, Leafs fans? But yeah, so it'll be fun to see the Elite 8 kick off. But first round ends tomorrow with Rangers Devils in New Jersey. Game 7 winner goes to Raleigh. So that's my recap of tonight's action, and I'll say this: to the remaining teams left, one of them is going to get the torch we lost. Whoever gets it, congratulations. An early congratulations. But hear this. Come next year, we want our damn torch back. So, if you like this video, click the like button, click subscribe. If you want more of my stories about the Bruins and Avs will be in the description below. Check them out when you can. I'll be back tomorrow to recap the final Game 7 and to get you ready for round 2. So stay tuned.